What is up, party people? This is part 3 of What If the Arrowverse was in Dragon Ball. Now, I really do hope y'all enjoying this series because I know I am, but I will not keep you guys waiting any longer. I know exactly what you came here for. So, without any further ado, let's get into it.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go.
Oliver, Sarah, and Shadow landing back in Star City after finally being stranded on the island after 3 years. And Oliver reunites with his mother, and Sarah reunites with her father, Lance, as Lance is furious at Oliver, and so is Laurel, not only for letting his daughter presumably killed for 3 years, but also treating on his daughter, who was his fiance, and taking her little sister on a yacht. But at the end, Lance is just glad they're okay, and he's confused. As soon as this girl Oliver is with, but Lance could care less that he just wants his family to be whole again after the loss of Sarah. As Sarah tries to explain, it's partially what happened about the island, but keeping some things secrets, knowing her father and sister might not be able to handle it at this point, and they decide to go off. As a few months have passed, as Oliver would get acclimated once again, and he would begin his venture, or he would begin his duties as the Green Arrow along with Sarah and Shadow, and Oliver's mother being a little confused about how he brought home a random girl from a deserted island somewhere in the Asian seas, and she's a bit confused, but she knows Oliver been through a lot, so she sadly is going to support it. As Oliver begins to construct a new nightclub, as well as keeping an eye on his younger sister after Tommy told Oliver a little what was going on with her drug addictions and out partying. And Oliver remembered she's only about 14 to 15 years old here, so there should be no reason why someone that young is out here acting that crazy. And he decides to bring her at least a little bit back in track. As he decides, you know what? Maybe get y'all use a little fun. As he invites Sarah and Shadow, along with his little sister and Tommy out to martial arts tournament, the 21st. Well, this would be the 23rd World Martial Arts Tournament, where he has a friend there who's participating, and he wants to go out and show support. As as Mia would say, Oliver, I didn't know you was much for martial arts. Well, if you had to fight to survive on an island for 3 years, you'll have to learn how to fight as well. Thanks to Shadow over here, at least I can defend myself against any wild animal that comes my way. As Leo say, "Ugh, no way, no, you're not that cool." As Oliver would just laugh, knowing that he could fly in the back of his mind. As a couple of hours go by, they land in Japan. Well, this is the Arrowverse. No, I'm just making up a new fictional city, West City. They land in West City, which is a couple hours away from Charlotte City. As he runs back into Goku, as he says, "Hey, as Goku is a bit aged up in this timeline, also to meet around everybody else age, so he's about 15 to 17 years old here already." As he meets up with Oliver, and Goku asks if Oliver's going to participate, catching a side eye from Dia. Like, wait, what do you mean if he's going to participate? As she says, no, you know I'm not much of a fighter, Dia. As Oliver says, hey, my sister, she doesn't know much about, me. How about we keep that on the down low just a little bit? As Goku would agree, and they would sit there and watch the tournament, and Dia seeing everybody fly, seeing people shoot these beams from their hands. And she says to Oliver, I didn't even know anything like this was possible. And she actually wants to learn it someday. And as Sarah and Shadow would keep that in the back of their mind, as of course, they met a man named Tien Shinha Tien, Chen, and he would face Goku off in the finales, and Tien would actually win, which to the surprise of Oliver, since he had money on Goku. As Superman would come present his, with Superman come and present the reward to the first place champion. As Tien is shocked to be the most powerful man on the planet, and he's shocked to know that he's around the same age as him. As this is a freshly new Superman, freshly new Superman, and of course, even Tien and everybody from the Crane School and Turtle School will be shocked to see him, except for Masaroshi, who's actually trained Superman in the past in his younger years, at least. As Oliver retreat Goku and Tien out for dinner, so Tien wouldn't have to spend any of his money, and he says any friend of Goku's is a friend of mine. And since Oliver is filthy, which money isn't a problem whatsoever, and just so it's not too much on Oliver, Bulma also offered, knowing how much Goku can eat. Hey, how about I help you split this one? I know you just got back, and I'm pretty sure your mother wouldn't appreciate you spending this much money out on a random restaurant in West City. As Oliver would laugh, as Thea would be confused about Bulma. What do you mean you just got back? We haven't told you anything yet. As she was just sitting in the back of my, oh, it's nothing. I just heard about it on the news. That's all. As Thea would just let it go. As Krillin would go off, and he says, "Goku, don't worry. I'll go get the Dragon Balls for you and the Power Pole." As they will all feel this immense dark aura, as they would say, What is this?" As Oliver would feel Krillin energy fade along with Goku's shadow, Tien, and everyone around them. As Master Roshi would say, this can't be. Piccolo have returned. As Oliver would ask, who the heck is Piccolo? As they would explain the story of Master Roshi Master and Mutao, and how he sealed away the Demon King Piccolo. And Oliver's like, so you're saying that demon is back here? As yes, but we didn't even know this is possible. As Superman, that is Superman who's stolen his silly would feel that certain spite in darkness, and he would notice a bunch of people around the world, so people with up above normal, slightly strong ki, they're being murdered by what it seems to be is Namekians. What are Namekians know on this planet? I know there's Kami, but these people feel dark as he began flying towards there. As Goku would go out and he began rushing off, and no one is fast enough to stop him. As he calls for his flying Nimbus, and he jumps up, not wanting to waste any energy in flying, as he goes and takes down Tamarine. As Master Roshi and the others began making a plan, as Dia is horrified, and she asks Oliver what's going on. As Oliver calls in favor from a security guard that his mother hired, and he flies him out and tells him to take Dia back home. And he asks, "What are you gonna do?" As at this point, Diggle is aware about Oliver crusade, and he has begun. He takes Thea, and he ends up taking her back to Star City where he knows she'd be safe. As they all suit up and they all fly out in order to find Goku, as they notices Goku energy is fading fast, as they begin flying towards him, as Roshi, Shadow, Sarah, and Oliver and Tien are all face to face with a 7-foot giant, Demon King Piccolo. And Oliver, he's never felt anything this dark. It's gruesome. It reminds him of his darkness, but he can't explain what it is. As Demon King Piccolo lets off a huge energy wave, pushing everyone back except for Master Roshi, as he stands face to face with him. As their battle began, Master Roshi would attempt to pull out the Mothba, but just like in canon, he would send out all of his energy, sadly dying, along with Chaozu and Tien. Sadly, both of them passing away in the fight against Piccolo. as Piccolo flies up to Sarah and Shadow, as he says, Green One, I can sense this darkness in you, and I know you care for the both of them. So I'm gonna have you pick. Which one do you want to live? Shadow or Sarah? But Oliver they can quick, not having any of that, quickly shows off a key power arrow, or he manifests an arrow with his chi, shooting it right in the eye of Demon King Piccolo as he drops to both of them and he goes and grab them. But Piccolo is furious, regenerating his eye and firing off a massive Masenko, piercing Shadow through the chest. And somewhere across the planet, Slade can feel her energy drops. But for some reason, something is different. Something is very, very wrong here. As he falls to his knees in tears, as Yafe also felt the death of his daughter across the world. As Oliver begins to get furious as he rushes at Piccolo, but he can't do anything to the demon or Namekian, but just as all hope seemed lost, Yajirobe thankfully is able to get everyone out of there. And as well as being able to get Goku a sensu bean, healing him up completely, taking them to Korin Tower in order for more training. As Oliver is still on the battlefield, holding off the Demon King. As Superman will appear, and he asks us, "What the heck? What the heck are you? What is in the Namekian doing here?" As Piccolo will look over and he asks, "Wait, what? What is in the Namekian? You? No, I'm the Demon King." As Superman will be a bit confused. Well, technically, the Namekians are demons. They do come from the demon realm. So I suppose he could be the Demon King, but Superman then proceeds to ask, wait, so what the heck are you doing on Earth? Why aren't you in the demon realm? As Piccolo will be confused once again, and he asks us, what the heck is the demon realm? As that just leaves Superman a bit shocked and confused about someone who's claiming to be the demon king, but yet he just sits there. As their battle will begin, and Piccolo is heavily on the back foot, as Superman here is above nearly everybody on the planet without any real training except for Roshi and a few Kryptonian martial arts. He's the greatest fighter on the planet, and just to say, he is probably the most powerful. He's most likely the most powerful being in the universe itself, besides for the god of destruction himself, and people with higher potential than Kryptonians, like the Frost Demons and a few other species. But as far as know right now, Superman have a power level of just about 5,000 compared to everybody else who's in the 30s and the hundreds, and the highest power level being at peak. It's Master Roshi having, if it's a Demon King, having a power level of 3,500, of 535. As he begins to face off against Piccolo once more, and Piccolo just in the backseat, he knows for a fact he can't be Superman. And that's just as the others, Sarah, Oliver, and Goku will show back up. As Goku asks, I have to do this, as he wants to face back off against Demon King. As Superman would back off after Goku received a huge Zenkai boost after their earlier loss against Piccolo, he begins to face off, and their battle goes the same as in canon of Dragon Ball. This time, Goku being a little bit stronger than he is in canon, and he flies up, piercing directly through Piccolo's chest. And not even Superman's being able to notice. As Demon King Piccolo explodes, he shoots off an egg in the distance. As Goku would say, thank everyone for the helps, and they will use the Dragon Balls to resurrect everyone killed by all the good people, at least, killed by the Demon King Piccolo, and that will resurrect Shadow, Tien, Machiroshi, Krillin, and Chaozu. As Goku would go off, he would train with Kami, the Guardian of Earth, not God, by the way. He's just a Guardian of Earth because the CW do have a canon version. The presence. I'm just going to put that little side note there. As Goku goes off for 3 years once more to train like he did in canon, and Oliver will go back to Strawling City as 2 years will pass, and he's been able to make a massive change in the city, as this is where season one of the Arrow, timeline wise, would officially kick off. But since Oliver appeared 2 years earlier than canon, and he had 2 years to train and grow stronger, along with Giggle and Sarah and Shadow, he's able to get exponentially stronger. Of course, keeping a secret about that, and he's able to officially open up his nightclub. Even opening up Mosul, becoming a multi-millionaire because of his nightclubs without the interference of his mother. And his mother is actually quite proud of him. It may not be big like Queen his father company, but she is proud of Oliver nonetheless, since he didn't leash off their money. He's been able to make something successful alongside his best friend Tommy because of his father, this time earlier, seeing the success of Oliver, cussed off him earlier. They've been working together, and They're officially business partners at this point. With Tommy surprisingly being a better businessman than Oliver, since he had more time, not being a vigilante. And that also leaves Merlin proud of him, and he comes back on the stress point. And they are actually able to rebuild and mend their relationships. But Oliver, Sarah, Shadow, they have been facing off against this weird figure, this man who's known as the Dark Archer, and he's even stronger. He's stronger than all of them put together, and they have no clue who he is. As every time they face off, he even escapes, or he's able to muck one of them, knocking them out. And his training, it have resemblance of the League of Assassins, but they can't put their eyes on it. And every time they tried to fight him, he even greatly overpowered them. Or if they got a little bit stronger over the past 2 years, he always came back and hit them harder, which does make stopping crime in surrounding city a bit harder. Well, Oliver would meet a girl named Felicity, and she would end up joining Team Arrow after after researching Watcher's disappearance. After Oliver got back, he wanted to find the Queen Gambit, and he finds out that Oliver mothers have it. But Oliver had no idea where Watcher is, so he did enlist the help of Felicity in order to find him. As Shadow and Oliver relationship, they've come to soonly realize, even though it's pretty healthy, it's not going to work out between them, because Shadow wants to go back to China to be with her sister, as Oliver don't want her to leave, but they want different things. They do want different things in life. So I do believe that Oliver would eventually end his relationship with Shadow, since the only reason they got together, in my opinion, well, in my timeline, was trauma, and they was the only people they could hold on to without freaking out. As Shadow would leave, she would sort of become a vigilante over there. She would sort of become a vigilante over there in China. As Oliver would be a bit sad at first, but he eventually gets over it begin to properly begin his crusade. As he does end up fixing his relationship with Merle, Laurel, and Lance. Of course, they're obviously not in a relationship, but Oliver doing the healthy thing this time, I'm being more emotionally aware, would end up, in fact, not trying to date anybody, at least for the time being, to work on himself and to properly heal from his trauma. The only true problem the group would have is against Dark Archer. Is against the Dark Archer, who they do not know yet is actually Malcolm Moreland. He's the only enemy in the city at this point in time who have any experience dealing with key users, and he's perfectly secondly the second most powerful person in the city, besides for Oliver himself, only coming in second to Sarah. With Sarah actually is stronger than Oliver, as one of the techniques she created is a canary cry. Of course, she's not a metahuman, but she's able to empower key into her vocal cords, shooting off a semi mouthing which is able to replicate sound waves, creating a creating a high decibel scream or a cry, which able to break through glass or even blow down entire buildings if not controlled properly. That could leave somebody in the hospital deaf for months. Of course, her hearing do eventually recover since it did happen on Oliver, right? Oliver once. Now Oliver is just really good at reading lips, so he was able to fake not being able to hear anything. At least when he's not on the combat field, and when he's out fighting crime, as for Arrow, he can simply use keys to sense his opponent energies, not necessarily needing to hear. And the fact that he's essentially bulletproof in this timeline. As the undertaking would soon come way. As sadly, just like in Canada, aren't able to top it. As Oliver finds out who the Dark Archer really was. As with the help of Sarah and Giggle, with the slight training he knows of key control, he's been able to pick it up a lot harder than everyone else, since Oliver had no choice in trying to figure out how to learn it, and he kind of had to force it in order to survive on the island. Diggle is a bit more natural, and Dia on the side have actually been taking lessons from Shadow and Sarah, and she's also a little bit more experienced, being the daughter of Malcolm Merlin. So with the help of the four of them, with Dia, who's decided to take on the hero name or the vigilante name as Red Arrow or Speedy, as Giggle, Oliver, and Sarah each essentially jump Merlin, and all four of them together are eventually able to overpower him, revealing his identity. But sadly, the undertaking still takes way. But with Oliver here being more of a millionaire and more of a public figure, he does have the resources to help rebuild the city as he locks up Merlin on Lian Yu in his prison, and have his connection to Argus thanks to Giggle, and they're able to keep him locked up there, at least for the time being. As Oliver began focusing his resources in order to rebuild the city, as he's funneling millions of dollars, thanks so he is currently the acting CEO of the Queen's Company after his mother had to step down because of the undertaking. He became acting CEO as things are looking better for the city. And he's actually a pretty good CEO, being forced to mature fashion. And with the help of Sarah, he passed on the nightclub over to her, so it's separated from Queen Consolidated, just in case anything bad ever happened. The fallback, he would still have access to its huge wealth of supplies because of the nightclubs and the multiple bunkers he has spread out across the city. He begins opening up more hospitals and using his father's resources for the actual good of the city. This time, since Slade is not, although he's still crazy and struggling to combat the Charlotte Murakuru, I highly doubt season 2 of the Arrow would happen. Since Slade is not necessarily a villain and he was the main force, so in this timeline, Oliver would be able to keep his company. But this is where Oliver still ran into the Manahuman, who have the strength of about 100 men. As Oliver at first would think it's probably just some dude who can use chi. This is the only thing that makes sense. But then he meets this forensic scientist named Barry Allen. As he's a bit shocked and confused, as they are able to eventually solve this case and discovering that people with superpowers, not chi, or you can call them metahumans, exists. I mean, we heard cases of those before, but Oliver didn't think they actually existed. As he become good friends with Barry after Barry saved his life accidentally, and he invites him to a Christmas party. where Barry would seemingly begin a relationship with Felicity, with Oliver being a bit jealous, but he doesn't let anyone get to it. But Sarah keeps an eye on it, and she's a bit shocked that he would fall for someone like her. It's not jealousy. It's a bit shocked because Felicity isn't his usual type. But Barry eventually goes off, and as he's on the phone with Felicity, he gets struck by lightning, and he ends up in a coma for at least 9 months. And he does get and he does eventually 9 months later does awaken, since season 2 of the Arrow, season 3 of the Arrow begins with Barry waking up from the coma, from the coma. And Barry and Oliver begins to take Barry under his wing, training him a bit, teaching Barry how to use his P and teaching him the aspects of Kikusho, which Barry just is able to pick it up much faster, as he's Oliver just simply gives him a bunch of books about learning how to do Kikusho, and Barry proceeds to speed read it, becoming an eloquent master in no time. Since to him, he's moving so fast, he eventually absorbed knowledge that would take a normal person years to even master, and Barry's able to pick it up like that. And Barry uses it to fly and not shred his clothes every time he runs. As he goes off in season 1 of the Flash, and season 1 of the Flash would eventually kick off, but season 1 of the Flash would eventually kick off as Oliver knows about the 24th the 25th World Martial Arts Tournament at this point, and he decides he's dealt with a lot over the past 6 years at this point. He knows Goku's going to be there, as well as Bulma and Krillin and the others, so he goes and meet up with them just to watch the tournament. And he punches a huge chunk of tournament, so it's actually happening right here in Charling City. As he eventually meets back up with Goku, as they reunite, and he notices that was Goku grew a bunch. He went from this 3-foot person to somebody who's dang near taller than him now. As Oliver is a bit shocked that Goku was even able to grow this tall, as he notices that Goku still has his tail, remembering from the past when Goku transformed into a giant monkey. As Goku would reveal that he knows how to control his Ozaru form, and he even knows how to use it in base now. As eventually the tournament will begin, and it goes nearly the same as it can, but Goku being able to fly through everyone as he meets this girl, Korra. By the way, this is this timeline version of Chi-Chi. I want Chi-Chi as Superman, the Osking families are actually related, and the Osking never had a daughter, named Chi Chi in this timeline, but he actually did. I'm replacing Chi Chi with Korra in this timeline just because I can, just because I wanted to fight me. Her Earth name is Chi Chi, but her Kryptonian name is Korra Joel, and she would meet up with Goku, and they would have a fierce battle, like a massive battle. As Korra as Chi Chi, or Korra, for simplicity's sake, I'm going to call her Korra. Korra is actually stronger than Goku, which would force Goku to transform into his Akari state in order to try to keep up with her. Him having a power level of 500 in this, 500. If he goes up to his master 700, meaning he have a power level of 7,000 in his Akari transformation. But Korra, since she's a Kryptonian, she faces back off with Goku, still being having this edge since he's constantly absorbing power from the sun. She does end up knocking out Goku out of the ring and moving on to the finales, where she faces off against Piccolo. As Goku will be confused, as well as Superman, who's there to congratulate the winner, they would face off. And even though Piccolo is stronger in this timeline, CC knows he has to face off against someone like Superman. He was only able to reach a power level of 600 just below Goku, and he's nothing compared. He's nothing compared to the likes of Supergirl, as he's heavily damaged. As Goku would give him a sense of being, telling him he someday he wants to meet him again, and Oliver would be like, "Why would you do that?" As as Goku would then say, "Well, if I let all of my friends go, all of them used to be enemies, now they're friends. Why can't he?" As Oliver says, that's not how that works. He's like the personification of pure evil Goku. Like he's actually, as Goku was saying, nah, he doesn't see it that way. As a month go by and Korra and Goku actually gets married, as Goku not being much of a public figure type, he does end up getting a place in Star City, as well with the help of Superman, since he's kind of rich here. Since he have a bit more of a public figure, he does get sponsorships. He does get paid along with Supergirl, but most of their money goes to charity since they like being reporters and don't want to feel like they're getting paid to do hero work. But Cora, on the other hand, she doesn't mind spending a little money now and then to get a skyrise penthouse in Star City and refurbish Grandpa Gohan old name later in the Mount Pazos. And they have two places where predominantly they both live in Starling City with state of the art training equipment. Thanks thanks to a little Kryptonian tech, her her fortress is actually under Starling City, and she's able to cloak it perfectly. And that's where Goku would spend most of his time training as as that as they will all be surprised that Goku would actually end up marrying Korra, or Chi Chi would end up marrying Korra. Even Superman shocked, and at that point he revealed to Goku who his secret identity is: Clark Kent and Lois Lane. As Goku be like, neat. No wonder you felt familiar every time I saw that reporter guy. No wonder you look familiar every time I saw that reporter guy. Jesus Christ, I cut that light out, and it was dark in the under the bed on my camera. Look at this. Y'all not even about to be able to see me right here. Look how dark I am. I look like a monkey. But anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed part 3 of What If Dragon Ball is in the Arrowverse. I like this part. I enjoyed it. I really do hope you guys enjoyed too. But remember, like, subscribe, say the goodbye. I don't really mind what you do, but if you guys want to see more of this, more videos like this, and remember, just show a little love, and it's gonna be it's gonna be amazing. Without any further ado, peace out. I hope to see y'all again. Ain't even gonna lie.